The problem is when people come to Australia, they get lost with...
Students are quite relaxed at this point of time that nothing is going to happen. What is your warning or an advice to such students?
DHA's written guidelines
Right.
about what they think is a good student. One of the criteria is students should have no adverse immigration history. One of the big issues which students keep raising when they're in Australia and they want to leave their degree program is that we can't afford it. The DHA people then get very confused. You've shown funding, but now you're saying you can't afford it.
Genuine access to the second year of funding
Is what they are looking
for.
People are using those excuses when they drop out. Oh, I can't afford it.
It needs to have a legit, genuine access of funds. Students who completed their one semester, DHA sent an email directly to the bank stating that this is the loan which was availed. Can you please confirm that it is intact? Guidelines were always there in place. People could not understand the reality behind it and
when rules are misused, more rules are made.
So the biggest mindset in terms of today's education agents, you call it, what should be the biggest change in the way they are operating?
You have to look at the right student. You don't try to find a student. Try to find the right student.
That's it. Sumitji, thank you so much for joining us today. We have Sumitji over here who looks after South Asia and the most senior member at Central Queensland University and an alumni of Central Queensland University 1996 batch. Thank you so much for joining today and, sparing time over here to discuss the current Australian scenario, which is occurring in the student visa section specifically across globally, but from a South Asia perspective. I wanted to know, Sumitji, that when it comes to the current high scrutiny which is happening in the Australian market, specifically from a DHA point of view, what is your, how do you view this, in terms of the student profiling and the GS criteria currently? What is your opinion and how do you see this environment which is currently happening?
Well, thank you very much for having me here. See, overall, when we look at what's happening with DHA right now and in Australia, we need to understand that, one, Australia is a very promising destination for students. And the biggest issue that has been emerging, and now I think it's become quite big, is are the students actually serious once they reach Australia? Because Australia has so many opportunities for students to study, they're allowed to work part-time, once they finish their degree, they get a work visa, and if they work there properly, they have opportunities to apply for migration visas. All the possibilities are there.
Correct.
Which I would say are not there in any other country today. US, UK, Canada, New Zealand are very different markets, and they get students in diplomas, not really in degrees. So Australia, I would say, is a key destination for a student who wants to have a professional future. And the problem is when people come to Australia, they get lost with part-time work opportunities. They start to feel, oh, I can work part-time and I can earn so much money. Why don't I leave my degree and downgrade and go to a diploma college?
So what you're trying to say is that working part-time is a privilege which is not being, is not utilized to the best of its possibility, and having studies at this stake currently at this point in time.
Yes, you can say it's a privilege, definitely. We have to understand Australian visa rules are very, very logical.
Correct.
You are here as a student, you're allowed to work part-time. It enables you to get very, very important local work experience. Yes, you learn money, but the key thing is to understand Australian work culture.
Correct.
Which goes a long way when you apply to work in your work visa, which only happens when you finish the degree that you came for.
Correct.
Now, this is where the channel breaks.
Right.
They get a visa after declaring this is a degree I want to study, show their funding, show their bona fide, everything, get the visa, land there, and suddenly they are dazzled by Australian opportunity.
Right.
And they drop out from their degree.
Right.
When they drop out from degree, they go to a private college where they may be going maybe 1 or 2 days a week or not even that. And then they're working, they're very happy they're earning so much money per hour, but very soon they find out they've been lined up for visa cancellation because they did not meet the requirements of their visa that they got for. Or they finished that 2 or 3 years doing a diploma certificate, and when they go to apply for a work visa, visa officer looks at it, oh, but you didn't finish the degree you came for.
Right.
So straight away there's a question on their seriousness. Often such students might not get a work visa. They might be asked to leave. So
Right.
their full planning is now finished.
Right.
So this is where the problems start, moment they arrive.
So you also would say that a lot of students, they feel that nothing is going to affect our visa conditions, right? When they take such steps, that's a myth, right? Obviously, Department of Home Affairs and universities can, are compelled to take steps, when they are being reported, when they keep on changing their careers, after coming over here and not, sticking to the, their goal, what they came initially. They, students are quite relaxed at this point of time that nothing is going to happen. What is your point of view, or rather a warning or an advice to such students who think that, they're quite relaxed at this point in time?
See, when people want to change their plans,
Correct.
in the first stage, they've convinced the High Commission in writing, and if interviewed, verbal as well.
Right.
They look, this is what I want to do. This is my future plan. I always want to do this degree, whether it's in IT, engineering, whatever it is.
Correct.
They get a visa, they arrive, they change. Now, when a student does not study in the university for which they've got the visa, then the university has to cancel their enrollment. When they
Right.
cancel the enrollment, linked with that is the COE, confirmation of enrollment.
Correct.
And that is uploaded in immigration records. It's
Right.
issued from their records only.
Right.
So when a student is not enrolled, the university is legally bound to cancel that because the student is not studying with them.
Right.
The moment it's cancelled, already immigration system is updated and the student has cancelled the program they got the visa for.
Correct.
And either they're picked up at that point or at the point when their visa is about to expire and they want to apply for a work visa.
I think that's a very key point that, they feel that, okay, if nothing has happened, but when they've applied for their 485, that is exactly when their entire history,
Now,
comes in the picture.
I'll just expand this for a minute.
Right.
I was sitting with a parent in Punjab
Right.
and he was there with his son. And he started talking about they wanted to study. The student's profile looked okay. I asked any family, they said, yes, my sister is studying. And how long has she been studying there? 4 years. I stopped there. I said, what did she go to study first?
Right.
He said, oh, she went to study this program at this university. Where is she now? So, oh, she's gone to this college. I said, okay. Has immigration picked it up? I said, yes. She's got a letter to explain. So when the woman said that, it means the letter is
Notification for cancellation.
we want to cancel you. We've given you a chance to explain. So already she is lined up. So they said, what should we do? I said, look, well, obviously what's happened with your daughter now can't be changed. And unless there is very, very strong reason, most probably the visa will be cancelled. Or if she's at the end of a student visa, she'll be asked to leave. Now, once that happens, I said, your son will not be able to apply.
So
Why?
siblings and the history follows down through.
DHA's written guidelines
Right.
about what they think is a good student. One of the criteria is students should have no adverse immigration history
Correct.
for themselves, immediate family members, unaccompanied family members, and all relatives in Australia.
Right. Right.
No adverse immigration history. That straight away is an adverse immigration history of students' own real system.
So a mistake of one person can affect the entire
I told
career
him
of
straight away,
everyone attached to
wait
that
for the
family.
outcome of your daughter's visa to decide whether to apply for your son anymore or not.
This is quite an
This was
interesting
last month.
fact. This was last month. Oh
Yes.
my. That
I was
is
in Punjab, in Ludhiana.
right. This is shocking. At the same time, it is very insightful, for whoever is kind of, understanding the reality of the consequences where they think that there will be no consequences. There is always a consequence attached to the same.
See, unfortunately, a lot of colleges
Right.
are not able to get visas from offshore for genuine reason that
Agreed.
they're looking for students who are coming for a professional degree.
Correct.
So they try to entice students, or migration lawyers, because of charge and commission from that college. They are trying to entice students, and students get. That's why I say to students when I meet them before they've gone that be very clear what you want to achieve and stick to that.
Right.
Don't try to get success on day one.
Right. So, and would you say that, these all reasons, right? One of these reasons when student comes here and changes careers very frequently or changes their plans, the current spike in Australia, Australia visa rejection, is that playing somewhere the role currently, when we see a spike in the negative decision making, or are there other factors as well attached to it when it comes to the student profiling? And how can, what, current student should do if they are looking to genuinely come to Australia, and what type of a profile that DHA is looking at this point in time?
See, this is a very broad question, and DHA in all their interactions,
Right.
they state it, and it's all in writing as well. They do presentations and they send regular newsletters to providers.
Right.
It's basically everything starts with academics,
Right.
goes to English.
Correct.
If you don't have strong English, how can you be an English speaking country?
Agreed.
Academics, English. Then goes, are there any gaps in your studies? They want to understand how serious a student you are. Then that leads to any work experience. If you finished your, let's say, bachelor's degree already, they want to see how focused you are in that line of study that you want to pursue now.
Correct.
And visa history. Visa history, as I just mentioned,
Just
is not just individual history, full family visa history.
right.
And last but not the least at all is financial capability. At the end of the day, I always joke around that look at your own city where you live in. Can you go to a place, a restaurant, eat food and tell them I'll pay you after 1 month? No.
No.
If you don't have the funds, then you shouldn't be going out of those things. So first is academics. Are you academics strong enough to prove that you are able to go and study in a different country?
Correct.
Academics. English. Obviously, you're going to an English speaking country. You might have studied from a Gujarat medium, Punjabi medium, anywhere. But you're now planning to go to an English speaking country. English should be as strong as possible. Stronger the English, better it is.
Right.
So academics, English. Gaps. Are your gaps? Are there studies gaps? Then why? Because that raises a question on your seriousness as a student overall. Then,
Right.
again, visa history.
Visa history.
Family visa history, as I
Family
just
visa
mentioned.
history.
Last is funding. Now, when they see students dropping out and question them, what are the general responses of students? Oh, I was not able to cope up with studies. So were your academics poor? Meaning, have the provider been very careful that they are recruiting only good quality students, academically speaking? That is where the pressure comes on the provider. Are you doing screening? All providers are given written instructions. Screen every student through video call only.
Correct.
There you can see, are you talking to the correct student?
Right.
You can judge their English skills.
Right.
You can establish the identity. So it starts from there. Then look at all the documents. All documents need to be verified. Unfortunately, document fraud is very high. Whether it's academic documents, English documents, financial documents, work experience document, everywhere. So they're problems at every step. So students talk about, I can't cope up with studies, I'm finding hard to cope up with the English. Then they say, oh, I'm not able to afford.
Right.
So academics, English, financials. If a student financials are not strong, or they say, oh, yes, I showed funds to the High Commission for funds, but I'm not confident how I arrange my second year funding.
So right now, second year funding, which, yes, that is a very big point which you just mentioned, right? Before, or no, I think before also it was always taken into consideration, but now do you also say that income and funding relevance is playing a huge difference? And how is this notion of second year funding is playing a role, and what logic is applied over here?
See, all these rules and requirements are coming up more and more because of the student behavior attitude.
Agreed.
When students drop out after coming to Australia and then they claim, I can't cope up with this course, or this is not a program of my interest, or the English I am not able to cope up, or I can't afford it.
Right.
So all of that goes back to tightening of those requirements. Then what does DHA do?
Right.
They're still issuing visas. They have to tighten up the requirements.
Right.
So they look at students' academics, English, funding. They're not expecting you to show 3 years or 4 years funding if you're going for a 3-year or 4-year degree.
Right.
But what they want to look at is based on family's income. Now, family is what? Your sponsors will always be parents. Everybody else is a secondary sponsor.
Correct.
If you're looking at grandparents or uncles or aunt, they will have their own family. You're not their immediate responsibility. Correct. So best sponsor is parents. So income of parents is the first thing to look at.
Right.
Is the parents' income above $30,000, $40,000 equivalent? If it's above, if it's close to 80, 100,000, then the situation changes completely.
Absolutely.
But if it's not, and majority of students applying, their family income is up to $50,000 equivalent or less, then they're looking at, do they have old and maintained savings?
Right.
Now, some people will say, okay, I've sold a property. They want to see is a genuine sale, or people are just
Agreed.
showing a fraudulent sale, because it happens, unfortunately, in South Asia.
It does.
If they're taking a loan, is it a genuine loan? You'll be surprised how much fraudulent outcomes we get with funding,
Correct.
where the bank branches are confirming to us in writing that the bank statement is genuine, but for God's sake, the totals are not matching.
The totals are.
What do we do?
Right.
And then eventually the same officer who's been saying genuine, and then we go to regional, and the regional officer says it's fraud. Then the same officer, oh no, sorry, it was an error, it's fraud. Then we have to say, oh, the bank person is involved as well.
And the ground reality over here is that a university and the Department of Home Affairs are sitting on very large variety of profiles, and they can microscope it in microseconds, right? Okay, and no one can actually escape from this aspect, where because for a student or even for a representative, it is couple of their student profiles, right? For a student, it's their single profiles. But when it comes to university or a DHA with a decade of experience, with so much of variety profiles from every state of South Asia, right? I think they are sitting on mammoth size of information, which is very easy to figure out whether, and there's no room where they can, think about escaping. And that is a notion which I think all the students and whoever is listening this needs to understand, that, should not think about short term over here, right? Whether you genuinely want to study in a country, specifically in Australia, then things are quite straight, right? As to what type of students would Australia would want in. Having said that, right now, one of the point is that there are student who has secured, let's say, the required bands, English proficiency as per the course, what is required for a university, may not be enough, because when there is an interaction, the entire picture is different, right? What is your point of view in that, the English score matching to the communication level of a student? How important is that in the current scenario?
English, without English, how will a student survive in an English-speaking country?
Correct.
You're based out of Gujarat.
Right.
I want to work with the Gujarat government. I'm an Indian citizen. I can work in any state.
Correct.
But Gujarat government works in Gujarati.
Correct.
I don't know Gujarati. I want a job in the Gujarat government. I can't get it.
Correct.
So that's a simple fact.
It's a very simple
Students feel to meet English requirement, I have to show I have English marks on paper. You will not survive. That is one of the biggest reasons, apart from identity fraud, which I think today is less. What is more is English communication skills not matching. So on paper is showing a score equivalent to 7, but they can't answer a basic question.
Right.
But if you ask them normal questions, which they would have just prepared, why do you want to study? Why do you go out of the thing? Okay, if you go and in Australia this happens, how will you respond? They're suddenly lost.
Right.
That is why immigration keeps giving in writing. Every student should be interviewed through video call only. Only.
Right. And this is one of the major reasons.
And don't ask normal questions all the time. Ask normal lifestyle questions. Ask them anything. Okay, what's your interest? They say, I like cricket. I said, okay, have you explored what about Australia cricket? And the moment you take them out of the normal preparation which they would have done, they're lost.
In the statement of purpose.
Correct. So it's very important. What's on paper is only the first tick.
Correct.
How well the student can talk and understand what you're asking is the important test.
Right.
And this is where students are coming to Australia and saying, I'm not able to cope up.
Correct.
Why? On paper, they've got English, but when you talk to them, they don't.
They don't.
So in all such cases, we effectively say we are disregarding your English test result.
Right.
So somebody's got good test result, let's say in TOEFL, but the commissioner wrote, sorry, we cannot accept it. Do another test and not repeat the same type.
Don't repeat the same time.
So, but still, no matter how many test results they bring to us,
right,
when we are communicating with a student and we don't feel confident, we can't accept them.
Correct. And it in a way it is better for them as well, because if in case also if they get through and land to Australia, they're going to find it extremely difficult to cope up with their
They are the
studies.
people who drop out the most. They are the people.
There we go.
So the families lost their money, and student is at risk of being have their visa cancelled, and their full hopes and plans and dreams will get spoiled. They'll come back and say Australia is not a good country. They
Right.
will not say, I did this.
I did this.
I went there without having good English, just on paper, and so I couldn't.
Yeah, self-realization is a myth these days. So I get it. You know what you're definitely
That's the bottom
saying.
line.
Absolutely. When it comes to government is promoting a lot of regional Australia currently. What is your take on it, and in terms of students, should prefer studying in regional Australia from an overall perspective and also from a CQU perspective?
See, regional Australia has huge opportunities.
Right.
See, globally, everybody tries to run to the big cities.
Right.
Big cities, you have more competition.
Right.
Everything is much more expensive. Your dream of buying a place of your own to live is like 5-10 years away at times. Whereas in a regional location, you get a very smooth life. Jobs are there.
Jobs are there.
Jobs are there. Pay scales are not too different. Your overall day-to-day life, the safety point of view, your commute time point of view, how expensive the property, that's less than half at times. Less than half. So today, because of that, the government even gives a longer work visa for a student to study in regional location. The majority of the universities, including us,
Correct.
we even offer students job on campus when they go to regional location. And actually, we've compared them staying on campus,
Yeah.
and we guarantee anybody a job on campus if they want to work part-time. We have enough such positions.
That is fantastic.
And when we see how much university will pay them as long as they work part-time,
Yeah, absolutely.
and what they'll pay staying in university accommodation, they still get extra after paying the accommodation about $1,400 per month. And they are on campus. A lot of facilities are available 24 hours. It's extremely safe.
And it's quite developed as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
that it's a
Oh, no.
regional Australia, so it's not
if-
developed.
There are more jobs available at times in regional because people often want to rush to the city.
Right. So the
So-
competition is absolutely less and more opportunities.
In
that
fact, if you look at immigration rules, employer nominated and regional location are on the top.
is. Agreed. So if we go from the down to the top, it makes sense.
So it makes a huge difference.
Right. So, when it comes to accommodation, which is normally a concern for the students looking to move to regional locations, what do you, do you see that just like jobs also there are enough accommodation places, and does CQU have accommodation facilities which they can avail on campus?
Yes, I would say not just CQU, majority of universities who have regional setup will have accommodation.
Right.
CQU has a huge accommodation as well. So accommodation is not an issue. In fact, apart from accommodation, even if you choose not to stay on campus and stay outside,
Right.
distances are very short. That's
Correct.
one.
Correct.
When you come to big city, at times when you want to look at foundation very close to your campus, it might be very expensive.
Very expensive.
Then you might be traveling half an hour, 40 minutes, 50 minutes just to reach a cheaper accommodation.
Right.
Then you suddenly feel, oh, my 2-3 hours in the day are gone just to use public transport. Buying a car is not easy for everybody.
Absolutely.
And in fact, people should not do that. They should have to learn how to drive first.
Agreed. With the rules and regulations
Correct?
of Australia.
In fact, so being in a regional location gives you time to focus on your studies. Part-time jobs are available. At not an issue. And from a CQ point of view, people who study degrees in IT, engineering, health sciences, at a bachelor's level, at a master's, all degrees, we place them in the industry. Their last term of study has to be done through industry placement, which we arrange. We have 100% placement record for many years. In fact, we also have the highest starting salaries in Australia, for God's sake.
I agree.
Even though our fees are on the most economical. So I'm not saying that we are the only university who does that. Others do that. So the point is, regional gives better opportunities.
Right.
Problem is people are too dazzled with big lights, and then they see, oh, it's too expensive. They want to drop out from the degree. It's a negative cycle which starts there.
Correct. Right.
Very different.
Very, very different. And I think that is the main reason that currently a lot of benefits are given even by governments when a student kind of moves to regional Australia. For their either study or live, and it has a better life as well, from a proximity point of view as well, and from a career point of view as well, which makes a lot of sense, because I think saving the time here in an abroad country, specifically in Australia itself, should be the primary focus. So if they are near to their accommodation and their jobs and the university, it makes their life very easy, where they don't have to kind of juggle a lot during their student life, which makes more sense as well. Sumiti, you mentioned during our conversation regarding the funding part of students required to have more than 1 year of funding. Would you throw some light and give some more insight over this to the viewers?
So as we discussed last time, one of the big issues which students keep raising when they're in Australia and they want to leave their degree program is that we can't afford it.
Right.
So when the DHA people then get very confused, you've shown funding, but now you're saying you can't afford it. And or you're saying, okay, we've shown funds for first year, but we don't know how to arrange for second year.
Correct.
That is where tightening is happening on financial requirements now.
Correct.
So take an example. A family has an income of, let's say, 10, 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs. Immediate family, parents.
Parents.
Not uncle, aunts, not grandparents. And then they have shown savings of only 5, 8 lakhs. Although their income shown is 15, 20 lakhs.
Correct.
Which means that even after this much income, they have only that much savings. Then let's say the first year funding requirement is 50 lakhs and they've taken a loan of, let's say, 50 lakhs. Okay, for a moment. So they've shown with 15, 20 lakh income, only saving of 5 lakhs.
Correct.
And they've taken a loan of 50 lakhs. The total requirement was 50 and they've shown 50 plus 5 said 55. Okay, how are you in second year funding?
Right.
You have no savings above than 5 lakhs over an income of 15, 20 lakhs. And you had no other source, so you've taken loan. So second year, are you taking another 50 lakh loan? Will the bank give it to you? Because your paying ability will not be there. On a 50 lakh loan, the EMI will at least be 50, 60,000.
Interesting, yes.
And that's already, you are using up more than 1/3 of your income, where you had no savings anyway. You had savings of only 5, 6 lakhs earlier.
There's no logic attached to it.
So that's why they are concerned, how will you arrange funding for your second year?
Correct.
So we generally recommend, if I use the same example, income of 15, 20 lakhs,
Correct.
saving of only 5 lakhs. But when you talk to them, say, yeah, I have cash in hand. Because it's not declared. And then we say to them, can you get a higher loan?
Right.
But their repayment ability is less because their income is only 15, 20 lakhs. Then we say, if against a property, most people own properties.
Correct. Yeah.
So if they have a property, and most properties, if they've had it for some time, is worth crores.
It's worth crores,
So
very easily.
Take a loan against property. And the property worth is, let's say, 2 crores. Take a loan of 70 lakhs, 80 lakhs.
Yeah, it's very
disburse it.
correct.
So it's available. Now, if possible, use your cash in hand to pay 2 terms, even 3 terms. So suddenly, same profile, okay, you still have an income of 15, 20 lakhs, you got saving of only 5 lakhs, but now you've taken a loan of 60, 70 lakhs, 80
Which is
lakhs,
disbursed.
Which is disbursed, and you've also paid 1 year fees or even more than that from your cash in hand. Now,
Perfect.
what you've just done is, I've paid my 1 year fees already. Okay, so now I only have living to show for this year.
Right.
But I've shown not just 40, 50 lakhs, I've shown 60, 70 lakhs. Now, where will that be used? In my second year.
So
Now,
there will be
you're not
no
paying
question.
that money there.
We are not paying the money.
It's
Correct.
showing. It's in your saving account. In fact, you can even do an FD if you want. You have those funds available.
Right.
And suddenly it shows much more funding available, which can be used for second year.
Correct.
So with that, again, we've strengthened. If they don't have saving in hand, let's forget they don't have saving in hand.
Correct.
They don't have cash in hand.
Second scenario.
Then
Yeah.
take a larger loan if possible.
True.
Let's say your property is worth 2 crores and you've taken a loan of 1 crore or 1.5 crores.
Correct.
You've disbursed it.
Right.
You don't need to use it fully upfront.
Yeah.
In that case, you have those funds and it's much more than 1 year. Then even one term fees will be fine because you have genuinely available funds.
So genuine access to the second year of funding
Is what they are looking
for.
Because people are using those excuses when they drop out, oh, I can't afford it.
Right.
So you don't have to pay 2 years now.
Correct.
But is this available?
Correct.
Now,
So,
if you have official funds, you can show them in the bank. You don't need to pay so much upfront.
Correct.
If you have something cash in hand, then
Correct.
use it to pay upfront.
upfront,
So it's a balance.
it's a balance.
It's a balance to make the visa officer confident that you have enough funds to study for your program duration. Majority of students go for masters. So
Right.
It's 2-year degree.
Correct.
Bachelors will have a bigger thing because at least 3 years, maybe even 4 years if they went for engineering or medicine related degree.
Correct.
So that is a balance.
That is the balance they
Correct.
create. And so you would also state that lot of students would have CA certificate wherein they will declare all their assets. That alone is not enough. It needs to have a legit, genuine access of funds where they can access it, not just they declare their properties or whatever assets they have got in the with the department.
Most people in India have properties.
Correct.
Does the property issue money to them every month? No.
No.
You either rent it and rental income is your cash flow,
Right.
or you mortgage it and get a loan against it.
Agreed.
Just having property does not mean you have money available.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow you want to go and sell the property, can you sell it on the same day? It might take years even.
Absolutely.
So having property is good as an asset which you can mortgage.
Which you can mortgage. Then rather mortgage it
Money
and
available
show it.
in hand
Correct.
is what has to be shown to DHA.
Very true.
And how have you obtained that money? Through legal means or illegal means. Sometimes people have only 10 lakh income and they say, oh, but I have 30 lakh FD, it's 1 year, I don't have the source. But why need the source? It's only 1 year old. But your income is only 10 lakhs. So we need source for that. If it was saved 10 years ago in 10 lakh FD and it's growing since then,
That's a
then
different
that makes
case.
sense. But you just made an FD 1 year ago, 3 times your annual income now, and you have, come on, it doesn't make sense. So they won't accept that FD. Without source, it won't be accepted because it does not match with your income.
Agree.
So logic and common sense is the biggest point when looking at funding. Does it look okay? Does it make sense? And everybody knows the answer for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody
So
knows it.
it's very logical. So funding to me is purely common sense.
Correct.
Purely common sense. Nothing but common sense.
Nothing but common sense.
Now, we get bank statements not just from India, from different countries. Often when you look at the bank statement, you know it's not genuine. You know it's not genuine. A lot of it is common sense. Yes.
By looking at it itself, it's very easy to make out.
Correct. Often we've seen banks issuing different statements on the same day, and when you look at the printout time, even that clashes.
Interesting. The microscopic information.
We have to look at it because there's so much fraud in the market.
Right.
And we are legally obliged to verify everything.
Right.
We have to interview students, as I mentioned earlier, check that the English skills match with what they've shown on paper, and are they able to talk about what they want to study. Imagine somebody going to plan to spend 50, 60, 70 lakhs and they're not able to explain why they want to do that degree, for God's sake. And how will they help in their future career? This is what a DHA is looking at.
Correct.
Somebody's taken a loan and DHA will ask them, this loan is taken against whose property? The student is blank. How will you repay the loan? They are blank. So those are the loans which are closed the day the student gets a visa.
Agreed.
And then the student again is in the same situation. They showed funding which was never available to them, practically speaking.
I think that's a very interesting point, and I think before a year, DHA did from my knowledge point of view, they did a practice wherein the students who completed their 1 semester, representatives got phone calls from the student that DHA sent an email directly to the bank, right, stating that this is the loan which was availed. Can you please confirm that it is intact or it has been closed? Otherwise, this would lead to consequences, right? So you're very well correctly, said over the same that, DHA does do checks even after the student completes 1 semester, right, to see whether the funds are intact or not, so that would create a lot of risk, which a lot of students feel that no, it is okay to close once they come over here, which it is not. And I think that is one of the very good point which you just mentioned, that is where the genuine access of the funds plays the role. Sumitji, having said that, what do you think a student mindset is in current era, you've seen this industry not only 1 decade, 2 decade, I would say 30 years, 20 years, I would say 2 decades you've been in this industry or probably more. Um, how is a student mindset from today to a student 10 years ago who is currently looking to pursue their studies abroad? What has changed?
I think in the last decade, overall, youngsters' mindset has changed a lot.
Correct.
People often don't want to work hard to get the actual outcome. Everybody wants the outcome today, and this is where the problem is in our industry as well. They don't want to finish their degree and get the right career outcome. They want on day one, what can I do? And that is where dropouts start. That is where students don't study a degree, go for short-term programs, diplomas, certificates, try to work illegally over time because the job opportunities are there, and they end up spoiling their overall plan to be successful and have a long-term career.
So quick decision making, but quick change of decisions also is a very big
See, often
problem.
they probably are even misguided that, okay, they use this route to enter Australia.
I agree.
And that's the problem.
And that's the harsh truth.
Yeah, that's a basic fact.
Right.
And Australia is being very, very careful. It cannot take the volume of students which US, UK takes because of the size of their country. Australia geographically is obviously 3 times and more the size of India, but the population is less than Delhi. So they don't want the population to be doubling every year because every person in India wants to come to Australia or from South Asia.
Correct.
What they want is, yes, we need these many people. If they come on a student visa and they fulfill their requirements of student visa, finish the degree, again on work visa, get a job in the same area of their study, which from our point of view, we place them as long as they've done the degree properly.
Correct.
Then, based on that 2 years work visa job, the chances of getting a full-time job becomes very, very high. In fact, we have 100% placement record in full-time jobs for students. Then they have the option even to apply for a migration visa. In fact, priority is being given to employer-nominated visas.
Employer-nominated
So when we are placing them with employers ourselves for that 2-year work visa, in the study regional 4-year work visa,
Right.
then their chance of getting sponsored is close to 100% if they've done everything correctly.
Correct, because why an employer would want to let go a dedicated team member? Absolutely.
Correct. So opportunities are there, but they say when you take a shortcut, it'll often take you to where you never wanted to go. So the normal path will get you to success, not the shortcuts. And because of that, there's overall tightening of Australian visa now, because you're seeing too many instances of people taking shortcuts and all the documentation not being general.
So they have actually put the halt on the start point itself, at this point in time.
Because the government is not confident that these students are coming with the right intentions. So they've tightened up their scrutiny.
Very.
And it'll keep on increasing till the student behavior changes.
Despite of tightening of, the norms and regulations, there is still an increase. Would you still agree that Australia is one of a very good destination for study, live, and career opportunities at this point in time? And why?
See, when you look at overall globally,
Correct.
the 3 destinations for international students going to do a degree with the future in mind, career,
Correct.
professional career.
Correct.
The 3 countries in terms of its size have been US, UK, and Australia.
Right.
Because Australia cannot take that many students. US is the biggest country, then forms UK, Australia. Within those 3 countries, unfortunately today, because of political situation, legal situation, or overall economy situation, US, UK are not the most favorable right now. They're not. Australia maintains an environment which is safe, which is welcoming, rules are transparent.
Right.
So Australia is the most attractive right now.
Right.
But it does not want to take all the flows of going to US, UK.
Agreed.
They need a certain number of people, which is not a small number anyway.
Which is not a small number.
It's in hundreds of thousands, not like 5,000 or 10,000.
Correct.
So they have a big scope, but they don't want to take every student. So they are careful. And US, UK have their own requirements, which are very different to Australia. Australia is very specific. We want students who are serious, are academically strong, who can be successful in Australia. And you can only be successful with good English. You have to have enough money to survive while you are studying. Yes, you can work part-time. And that's where Australia is again very unique. You're allowed to work part-time.
And the wage
pay rates are good.
Very good.
In fact, people who go to a regional campus, which I mentioned earlier as well,
Correct.
they are employed by the university, for God's
Agreed.
sake, to work part-time.
Agreed.
Those opportunities are there.
Yeah.
In holiday time, you work as much as you want, wherever you want.
Correct.
But during studies, you are here on a student visa, not on a work visa.
Not on a working holiday
When you
visa.
finish your studies, then you get a work visa. Only if you finish the degree you got the visa for. This is where a lot of students are dropping out. When they drop out and they apply for a work visa, often that's denied to them.
Right.
So you do everything correctly, there is no dearth of opportunities. You are in the best country, one of the safest countries. I came here, as I mentioned, in 96, so it's now 30 years. My kids are studying in Australia.
How was the experience then? How was Australia then?
The opportunities which are there in Australia have only gotten bigger.
Bigger.
Have only gotten bigger, not smaller. It's the students who come with the wrong intentions or ill prepared. Why? Because their academics were average,
Right.
or the English is weak, or they didn't come with the basic funds to look after themselves while they were studying.
Right.
So they've actually handicapped themselves. They can't blame the country. They've handicapped themselves. You're taking part in a race with half a leg.
I understand. It makes a lot of sense, right?
That's the thing.
Having said that, and I would like to, kind of put in a nutshell that how do you see the international education industry, specifically from an Australia point of view, in the coming era?
It's a very good question. What we need to understand is Australia is quite unique. Why? Geographically, they're very big. It's a developed country. It's a welfare economy.
Correct.
Their own population increase is not enough for them to sustain the economy. So they need skilled migrants to join that workforce.
Correct.
And they've defined how many people they need in the skilled workforce. It's an ongoing exercise which happens every few years. And they've declared how many people we want to give student visas, and as a percentage, how many of them normally apply to get a skilled migration visa.
Correct.
Because of, obviously, they have all the data. So they worked that out. Based on that data only, they've given quota to the full industry broken down by providers.
Right.
So it's already a set model.
It's already a set
It's
model.
the students who are unfortunately spoiling their opportunities by trying to, for need of a better word, they're trying to get rich overnight.
Right. Right.
And anything that comes easy goes away easily.
Correct.
So rather than having a lifelong career,
Right.
they are trying to maximize on day one, and they lose all the opportunity.
I agree.
And that indirectly is telling the Australian government, yes, people in South Asia, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka are very keen to come. But are they actually serious? That is why tightening globally is on student visa from Australia is not globally, it's in South Asia. Because we've given the impression that we are not serious and focused.
So guidelines were always there in place, which I understand.
Always.
It is just that people could not understand the reality and analysis behind it, and that is why now it is becoming more and more clear with some harsh realities of
When rules
tightening
are
the vault.
misused, more rules are made to stop that initial rules being
That's
misused.
a very good
And that's what's happening.
Right.
So we are forcing them to do it.
Correct.
Nobody else is doing it. We are forcing them to do it.
No, I think it was a fantastic conversation, Sumitji, right? And before we come, to the end of this conversation, there are few rapid fire questions,
Okay.
right? Which I would like to state, but I must say that whoever has taken time to listen to this conversation has got a lot of clarity on the roadmap ahead, which is on three perspectives: from a student perspective, from a representative perspective, and from a university perspective. Everything is very common, and everything is very known as well. But there's a lot of clarity for any international student now, I think, if they understand this well, decode this well, of how their further roadmap should look like in Australia, that if they are serious, Australia is definitely welcoming.
But I'd like to add something. When you said students, providers, and counselors, parents need to be educated as well.
Parents need to be.
Often parents feel we've shown the funding, the student's got the visa, now we can withdraw it and use somewhere else.
Right.
They are spoiling the chances of the student being successful, and in a way indirectly pushing them to work extra and not focus on studies to earn. So I think it's a mindset has to be changed from parents.
And an accountability factor as well in every party which is involved to make this as a successful industry possible. But that's a very
Parents
good
have a very big role
very big
on how
role.
to counsel and guide their student.
Yeah, and they cannot have their children to be used as the means to get their family up, right? Okay, in terms of putting their careers later, or rather promoting the students to keep their careers later and having their earning option first and getting away from the primary goal.
One can never eat half-cooked food.
Agreed.
So you have to let the food cook fully first.
Agreed.
Then it will feed stomachs, not
No.
before that.
Absolutely.
That's a basic fact.
Thank you so very much. But before that, we will go for the short questions. So I have, just few rapid fire questions for you before we wrap up, right? What do you think is that one course which is still, is still underrated and students are not opting for it according to you?
See, Australia has potential for most areas, but health sciences demand, engineering demand is very, very strong.
Correct.
Obviously, there's demand for IT, accounting, and other areas, business as well. But I would say health sciences is a very big area, then engineering. In fact, right now, government is giving very high importance to these.
Right. When it comes to the biggest red flag today, when a student is applying in any university at an application stage, which is the biggest red flag?
It can be any of the key things, starting with academics only. Student has done in business and now suddenly wants to apply for IT with no background in IT, or trying to go into health sciences with no subjects. So any totally disconnected choices should raise a concern, yes.
So irrelevance of course really, and also work experience plays a huge role at this point in time. When it comes to the biggest mindset in terms of today's education agents, you call it, right, or representative, what should be the biggest change in the way they are operating?
See, when people start saying, my job is only to get them there and I don't care what happens, that is what comes back, and the job gets affected when students who are going there are disappearing or don't finish or have the visa cancelled and they come back. Then what affects? The number of people who walk into your door. So you have to look at the right student with everything: academics, English, background, visa history, financials, all of that complete.
Right. So you mean you definitely say over here that obviously the agents need to go more deep in terms of student profiling and the intent before we are,
Don't try to find a student. Try to find the right student.
That's it. That's a very good line. Okay. When it comes to, one habit which separates an international student, a successful international student from a struggling international student.
The word struggling I can interpret in a few ways, but I'll interpret it only from an academic point of view at the
Correct.
moment. And this is something which I've been saying to students for donkey years now, because I was a student myself in Australia at CQU in 96, 97. When you arrive in Australia the first time, for the first 4 weeks, only focus on settling down, finding your accommodation, understanding what's happening, understanding the academic setup. Why 4 weeks? Normally in week 3 of your term will be your first set of assessments or assignments. It could be a presentation, could be a group discussion, could be a written, whatever it is.
Right.
When you go through that, which is normally week 3, maximum week 4, normally it's week 3. So when you do that and you get the outcome, then you know, okay, how well I'm adapting to the system. Am I understanding the system or not? Those first 3-4 weeks are critical. So when people land and first want to find a part-time job, it means studies in the back foot.
Right.
And that is where they start to struggle. So when you spend the first 3-4 weeks understanding the academic system, you even have problems to understand the accent for a few days or a week.
Agreed.
Because you know English, but you don't know Australian English.
Right.
So it will take you at least a few days to a few weeks to get on top of that. You have to understand the academic setup, the way you're expected to study, the way you're expected to present, to write. So it's everything is different. So first 3-4 weeks are to be spent only to understand those things.
Correct.
You get the outcome of your first set of assessments. You've got a distinction. You feel, yes, I'm good. I'm on track. But if you got just pass, it means no. You have to work more to understand. Pass is not good. Pass is below 50%.
Below 50%.
60 and above is credit.
Right.
Distinction starts with 75.
Right.
High distinction is 85 and above. You want to be really successful? High distinctions. But anything below distinctions is not really good. It's just credit and below. So when the first 3-4 weeks you focus on studies and these things, then your chances of struggling have suddenly gone down by 80%. And if you don't focus and you're focusing on work from day one, the
Correct.
chances of struggling have gone up by almost 90%.
Right. And my last question is that as you talked about academics, right? Is plagiarism a very big factor in current scenario for any student studying in a university, and how serious of that it is?
What is plagiarism? You have copying somebody else's thoughts which they've written down in a text. Okay, you see something printed somewhere, you pick it up and paste it and say, this is what I've written. So you are lying to start with.
Right.
So sooner or later, one, that lie will be caught. Even if it's not caught, how long will you pretend in your professional life?
Right.
Sooner or later, they'll find out you actually know nothing. You're just trying to copy and steal somebody else's idea and present it as your own.
Correct.
That is plagiarism.
Right.
Yes, you get, if you write something, it gives you thoughts, it gives you direction, then you think about it, and then you formulate your own idea.
Right.
Is where you write, is your work. And yes,
Correct.
you've taken ideas, you've taken the direction of thought, you've understood your concept based on somebody else's presentation or writing. That's why people read textbooks.
Correct.
But you don't present it as if you've written the textbook.
You've written that.
That is plagiarism.
Right. And there is no chances in this when a student does this.
Plagiarism is academic theft. You've stolen somebody else's ideas and presented as your own. People can be sued for that.
Right.
And even if you don't get sued, you don't get caught, but what's your future professionally?
Right.
You keep stealing somebody's ideas and presenting it as your own and hoping that you'll get a salary raise based on that. Come on.
Correct. No.
Doesn't work.
No.
So plagiarism is one of the biggest academic crimes. People who've got PhDs and eventually found out that they had plagiarized get their degrees cancelled as well.
Right.
So it's a global problem.
That's a very, very big point as well. But no, thank you so much, Sumitji, for joining
Most
today.
welcome. It's a
It was
pleasure.
fantastic. And I hope that after watching this, as I again repeat, that our students are able, and parents are able to understand the primary goal of them pursuing to come to Australia here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.